It's always an honor to introduce a speaker, even if I did ask, and I did ask. I met this boy in Atlanta on March 5th, 2019. So that hadn't been a long time. And very momentarily, shared a hug, and when he come walking up to me, bouncing up with this passion that, hey brother, and an infectious smile that will grow on all of you here when you see it. So anyway, we went on home, and all of a sudden I got this invite to an application on the phone that helps people to communicate. And I thought, well, I ain't got one of them. Well, that's crap, whatever. I got too many applications now. But I went ahead and did it, and it's one of the best things that I've done in the last few years for my recovery. There's 159 people in this communication application. And since our speaker is on there, I got his phone number, and we've had some extremely intimate phone calls. He pours out his life and his passion and his soul to people that he knows that are in love with him as much as he's in love with us. This man has got a passion for Narcotics Anonymous. He is an H&I kind of guy, folks. There's a prison that he goes into that has 4 prison meetings. Is it 4? 22, and he goes to all of them. Eventually. He goes to all these prison meetings and does H&I work. And just to support people that he knows is trying to change their life. So, one other thing, this application, he's in front of 158 people, and he pours out his love. He gets extremely vulnerable. And he's got that way with me. So, in 9 months, I've gotten to love this man as much as I love you. Jason?
Thanks, Brian. That was nice. I'll pay you after the meeting. Anyway, I'm an addict named Jason. I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be clean and grateful to be celebrating recovery with y'all. And I want to say first, I want to thank y'all for the love that you've been giving me when I got here and since I've been here. And I've been getting love from you guys ever since I came to Narcotics Anonymous. And I want to thank the committee for asking me to speak, and for Steve for calling me, and for Tina for bringing my name up and throwing my name out there in the hat and stuff like that. And it is an honor to be asked. It was weird too because I didn't want to get heavy like this, but I'm going to have to get real with you guys. And when I was 11 years old, my dad OD'd in the backyard on Thanksgiving, and my mom remarried a couple of years later, and that was my stepfather, and he pretty much, and we didn't get along because he didn't like me getting high and shit like that, but he just doesn't understand us, you know what I'm saying? And anyway, the day that I got called to ask, Steve called me and he asked me if I'd come in here and speak, and he was in hospice care. And I walked into the room that very same day, and that was the last time I saw him because he died a couple hours later. So that's just the way God works, man. He gives me good things, and then he just other things happen that I'm just not aware of, and they just go down the way they're supposed to go down. I'm grateful that I got to have the man in my life, and it is what it is. But I'm really glad to be here, and I want to thank you guys for that. Okay. Enough of that shit. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I do have a couple disclaimers I want to say. One is that I don't speak for Narcotics Anonymous. I speak for Jason. So whatever I say, it's not like I'm the authority on any. I'm just another fucking addict like you guys, man. I'm just here I'm just here to share. And then the other one, I heard this one at a convention that me and my wife went to back in '92. And you know, when you hear something and it's really impressible, you like grab on it and hold it. And we were at the World Convention in Baltimore. It wasn't '92, it was '94. World Convention in Baltimore. And the speaker said, all wisdom is plagiarized. Only ignorance is original. I said, yeah. I found out later when Google came around that he stole that shit. But it's good. It's real good, you know what I mean? So I stole that shit too. So you're probably going to hear some stupid, ignorant stuff up here because all I got's my story, because all we can tell is what we got. You know what I mean? So all that ignorant stuff's mine. But that wisdom that you might hear slipping in here, that's from you guys, because you guys gave that to me. You guys shared that to me. So I'm grateful for all that. Now, the theme of this convention is labor of love. And I love this, man. Labor of love. And what a theme. I know they used to call the basic text the labor of love, because all the work they put in writing the basic text. And, it was free. But then, you know what? Even before we had the basic text, it was labor of love. And because people reach out, and people loved on me before I even knew how to, it's not even before I knew what love was. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm speaking not for Narcotics Anonymous, I'm speaking for Jason, and I'm going to share a little bit of my experience. I heard people say that old school recovery is when they say stuff like work the steps or die motherfucker and stuff like that. That's not my experience. They didn't tell me to shut the fuck up and take the cotton out of my ears and put it in my mouth. That's not my experience. They told me that when I went to another fellowship, right before they told me to get the hell out. But when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, they said a closed mouth doesn't get fed. They said, we're going to love you till you can learn how to love yourself. They said, this is a we program, and they said, this is the love program. And when I went to go shake my hand, they pushed my hand away and gave me a hug whether I wanted it or not. You guys have been loving on me for a long time. Even when you were fucking with me, you were loving on me. It's true. It's true. See, I don't know if you know, but I'm self-centered. Real self. And I was especially self-centered when I first came into Narcotics Anonymous. So back in the day, when I got here in 89 when I got here. I'm grateful to say that I haven't had to use since I got here. I was 26 years old. That's right. If you're new and you use, that's okay. That's what addicts do. If you've relapsed, that's okay. We're glad you're here, because there's been a lot of addicts that have relapsed. Matter of fact, I looked up that word relapse in the dictionary, and the word relapse in the dictionary says, and I love this part because it talks about the disease. It says, in referring to a disease, a period of deterioration after a period of improvement. Well, fuck, that covers everybody. You know what I mean? I don't need to be looking down on nobody, man. We need to be welcoming people and loving people, because that's what this is. This is all about love, man. I think all the spiritual principles wrapped up in one is all about love. We've been loving on each other, and that's what we need to do, is to continue loving on each other. It doesn't matter how much clean time we have, because sometimes the suffering addict isn't the newcomer. Sometimes it's the guy with 40 years who just got his leg amputated and can't get to meetings. We don't know who's going to be carrying the message. Here, I'll give you a story. This has to do with my ego and my self-centeredness and my complacency and all my bullshit. Look, one day me and my wife went over to Cambria, and I'm on the East Coast. I don't know if you know where that is, but that's on the West Coast, and that's a nice little beach town right over there on the beach in California. And we went to one of those small meetings, and there was probably about 10 people at this meeting. And I had about 7 years clean. And I got a pre-warning here that if you marry somebody in Narcotics Anonymous, you're going to have to hear shit that you don't want to hear sometimes. That's a given. I mean, it's good, but you get what you come in for, right? So we're at this meeting, and at the beginning of the meeting, they go around the room, and everybody introduces themselves and says how much clean time they have. That's just their meeting format there. And we went around the room, and then they open up the meeting, and they share, and they go around the room, and everybody gets a chance to share. Well, I'm looking at my clock, and it's getting close to 9 o'clock, and I know they're going to close the pool over at the hotel. And we had a kid. I'm telling my wife, I said, you know what, let's get back to the hotel and go swimming before they close the meeting. I said, because, you know, we've heard everybody share except for the newcomer, and fuck, I know how to use. I don't need to listen to him, right? Now my wife says, oh no, Jason, we're going to sit here and add everybody, and then we're going to do the prayer after the meeting. Now, I don't know if any of y'all are married, but if you're married and you're on like a vacation that's nice, you don't want to fight your wife when she puts her foot down on shit like this. You know what I mean? So I sat to listen to this newcomer share. And he shared he just got back after a 1-year run because he had 7 years clean and he was complacent in his recovery. Yeah! Fuck, babe, you were right. You know, God works with me. He has a sense of humor. Big time sense of humor. When I was new, we didn't have Starbucks back then. We used to go to the coffee shop. It was the Denny's that we all went to. In our town in Fresno, California, we'd all go to this same Denny's, and we went there for probably like 4 or 5 years till they kicked us out because addicts were stealing tips and shit like that. But we used to go to that meeting all the time. I mean, to that place all the time. And I'm going to share about this guy. His name was Pete. I love Pete. Pete had about 7 years clean, and I was new. I had like maybe 90 days fresh out of treatment. And Pete had this thing where he'd like to screw with the newcomers. He liked to mess around with the women, but he also liked to mess around with my head. And one day he came up to me and he said, Jason, he goes, and by the way, I'm not one of these guys who didn't care about what you think. I'm not. I really wanted you to love me. I enjoyed the hugs. I memorized how to read Who is an Addict, so you think I was cool. You know what I mean? So that if I said something, I could quote from the book like I was a fucking guru or something like that. You know what I mean? And anyway, Pete says to me, he says, Jason, he goes, I'm going to too many meetings where I hear people talking out of the side of their neck. He goes, I don't need this. He goes, you know what we really need is we really need a spiritual meeting. You know, with just spiritual people like me and you. Like an invitation-only meeting or something like that. Now, you know, this is probably stupid, but it's you know how many addicts it takes to screw in a light bulb? Only one. They just stand there and hold the light bulb and let the world revolve around them. You know, so I go, Pete, man, that's a great idea. So the next day, I go to one of these places where these AAs renting the room from, and I figure, fuck, I'm going to rent a room from this place. And I rent a room, and then I show up at the coffee shop afterwards over at the Denny's. You know, I usually showed up without money too, but you guys would buy me French fries or something like that because you were cool. And I said, Pete, man, I got that meeting. He goes, what meeting? You know, our invitation-only meeting for just spiritual people like me and you. He was like, oh, shit. Let's have it on Tuesdays. We're going to have it on Tuesdays. But, you know, I don't have enough clean time, so I'm not going to be the secretary. So he goes, well, we'll get this guy, Bob. They called him Cocaine Bob. He had a year clean. You see, he's going to be our secretary. So we showed up, and I'm thinking I got this real big thing going on because, you know, I'm trying to be spiritual and shit. You know what I mean? They set me straight. They told me we had to be on the schedule and all this other stuff. Bob showed up loaded, so we had to get another secretary. It was okay. We had that meeting. A lot of newcomers went. It was one of those meetings where you could smoke inside because I liked to smoke back then. If you weren't a smoker, you were by the time you left the meeting. Right? And it was a good meeting. As a matter of fact, it grew from one meeting to 7 meetings a week, and it continued for a long time. And it ended up being a great meeting. So, God has a way of taking my self-centered ass and changing it and making things good happen with it. But I seriously, when I was new, I wanted to be real spiritual. I mean, I did. I heard when I say this, I laugh because Trish and I heard this guy speaking once, and he said that when an addict says he wants to be more spiritual than the next addict, it's like when God looks at that, it's like if we looked like a molehill with a whole bunch of ants, and an ant saying, well, I'm the biggest ant. You know what I mean? So I remember I thought, I already screwed up all this church God stuff, and I was studying different things, and I was trying these different religions and all this other stuff because I had to find this big God, this God that was like super spiritual. I had different kinds of stones and stuff like this or whatever. So Indian ways I was studying. So one day I was with this guy, and I had about 9 months clean out because now I'm really fucking spiritual, right? And we were at one of those billboards because this is what he did. He worked doing those billboards, the ones on the side of the freeway. And a bird hit the billboard, and it crashed into the billboard and died. And I thought, fuck, this must be a message from God. See, you gotta understand, you screwed up when you asked me to speak because I'm a crazy dude, man. So I thought, man, I'm gonna be spiritual and shit, dude. I'm gonna cut that claw off that bird. I did. Someone told me an amethyst was a recovery stone. So I super glued that amethyst into that claw. And I put some tape around it. But I was trying to be natural though, so I got one of those. I didn't have much money, is really a lot of the truth too. I got like a little piece of those leather shoestring things, you know what I mean? That was leather, and I tied that fucker and hung it around my neck like this. And I was going to meetings because I'm getting in touch with God, dude. Don't you know? After a couple of months, I had this big old fucking rash right here on my chest. I wore that thing till this dog ate it. Always trying to be special, always trying to be different. Right? I'm no different than anybody else in here. I had a sponsor one time, he said, anytime that you look down at another man, another addict, you should be reaching your hand down to help him up. But man, that's some heavy shit. By the way, he stole that from Martin Luther King. I've read it on the fucking internet. See, all the good heavy shit's stolen. All the good recovery stolen. It's my stupid stuff that's just out there, man. So labor of love. Labor of love. That's the convention, man. That's the theme of our convention. We're the labor of love right here. We have miracles happening in here all the time. And we should be hugging on each other. And we should be loving on each other. I mean, continue. And I'm talking about that motherfucker who just pissed us off at the business meeting is the one that we need to be loving on. You know what I mean? That's the one we need to be loving on. It's cool to hug that newcomer who's in the treatment center and taking showers, but we need to hug Stinky. Because that's me. You know, the ripped jeans that haven't been changed in 3 weeks with the sweat down the arms and the sweat in the back. Hey, if you're here, brother, we love you. We're glad you're here. And that's okay, man. We all come in here all tore up. You know, we want to love on each other. And now that this, I was reluctant to say it, but I want to say this, man, because this touches my heart right here big time. It touches my heart big time, and it has to do with the labor of love, and it has to do with the work of reaching out and loving one another. Because here's the thing, and especially here in our country, we're too separate. We're too fucking polarized. I don't care who your connections are, what you've done in the past, how much or how little you used, who you fucking voted for president, whether your home group signs a damn court card or not, or what edition of the basic text you read. Fuck that shit. We don't care about that. All we care about is what your problem is and how we can help, and we need to love on each other, man. That's what it's all about. We don't know who's going to save our ass. God sometimes uses the meekest people in the whole room to speak. Like when I was in Cambria, he used the newcomer. I just need to shut up and listen. I had a sponsor that told me that if I ever went to a bad Narcotics Anonymous meeting, it was my fault. See? That president thing. Fuck. Like we really fucking care when we spend 5 days in the bathroom who we voted for president. All of a sudden we get clean and it's like, oh dude, you don't think the way that I think. Well, thank fucking God you don't think the way that I think. Y'all think the way I think, you'd be killing claws around your neck and shit. Okay. I'm real grateful, man. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be with you guys. I'm grateful to feel the love I get. I'm grateful to feel the love in the room. I'm grateful that you've been with me in spite of myself. Because I'll tell you, it hasn't always been pretty. I've been clean for a while. I got clean when I was 26. So that means that I had a lot of time to do stupid shit clean. Right? I've heard people share stuff that they've done, what they haven't done, and they say, well, you know, I haven't done this and I haven't done that. And it's like, well, yet, you know. I mean, I was that guy who looked at the guy with all those years saying, well, fuck, when I get that much clean time, I don't want to be like that sick motherfucker. I may be that guy. Shit. Just today, we were having lunch in the banquet, and I was taking selfies, and I factory data reset at my fucking phone. Sometimes it sucks to be me. It's hard to be me sometimes. It is hard to be me sometimes. Because you know what? I act in ways that I'm not comfortable acting in my own skin. I make mistakes. I do Here, I'll tell you another story. Some of you guys know me. You've heard the story, but some of you say, most of you don't. Fuck it. Anyway. So I don't know. I had about 8-9 years clean. Me and my wife, we're going to go to Disneyland because I had a day off. Now, I lived in Fresno at the time. And Fresno's probably about 3 or 4 hours. No, about 4 to 4.5 hours trip to Disneyland. So I do it like good addicts do. I get up like real early in the morning to go to Disneyland. And I'm going to drive home that night, right? So we pull the all-dayer. So I drive all the way to Disneyland. And I'm starting to drive home. And as we're driving home, it's getting late. It's probably like 1 or 2. And we're driving up the Grapevine. Now, back in those days, we did not have cell phones or satellite radio or any of that stuff. We had the radios that you had to have the dial and tune in, you know. And coming over this Grapevine, up over the mountains, the radio gets like... So I'm by myself. And the 2 kids are sleeping. And my wife's sitting next to me in the car. And she's kind of like kind of nodding out. I thought I saw her eyes open there for a second. And I said, I had a little bit of time because I had like maybe 9 years. And I said, hey, baby, I love you. Well, she didn't say shit. And as I'm driving, and I really like to tell myself it was probably 15 minutes, but it was probably more like 2 or 3, these tapes started playing, these old tapes. You know, you guys know these tapes. You stupid piece of shit. What the fuck's wrong with you? You know the stuff you've done and how you are. Nobody loves you. What's wrong with you? You know, and then all of a sudden, addict alone's in bad company. All of a sudden, I get pissed off at myself, you know, because I'm looking at myself in the mirror, you know what I mean? I'm getting pissed. And I take my fist and bam, I hit the windshield of the car, and there's a big old fucking crack right across the windshield of the car. Now my wife is awake. I'm sorry, baby. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm playing these old tapes in my head. I'm a mess. But I got clean time. I know that I'm supposed to share this stuff. I am. So I go to my home group. And I start sharing about that fucking broken window. I share about that broken window. I take the guys out in my support group and I show them the broken window where I hit it. For a month, I'm sharing about this damn broken window. Sound familiar? and my sponsor comes out and says, Jason, when are you going to quit bitching about that goddamn window and fix that motherfucker? Because that's the message of recovery. The message is we make mistakes. We all do stupid shit clean. If you haven't done anything stupid clean yet, you just haven't been clean long enough. Keep coming back, you will. Everybody that I know who has any amount of clean time at all has done stuff that's uncomfortable in their own skin clean. You know, we got to go through it. We got to live with it. I got to go through it. I got to deal with me. And that's pretty hard to do sometimes. You know, I got to get real with me. You know, I'm talking like not calling the sponsor and saying, hey, how's it going? Oh, everything's cool, man. Everything's all right. I'm talking about just getting real about what's really going on. I got to get honest. Now, I want to share with you guys. I want to share with you guys some things, but I want to share with you a little bit about, you know, Narcotics Anonymous and some of these principles and some of these steps, because what this does, what this program does, is this program has taught me how to love other people. But in order to love other people, I had to learn how to love myself. At first, I thought that was bullshit. I remember arguing with my first sponsor about that. I call it the hot dog argument. This is true. This is a fucking argument that I had with my sponsor. It went like this. If I'm stranded on an island and I really love somebody, I'm going to give them the hot dog, and that way they can survive because I love them. That ain't fucking love. Because if anything, you're going to share it so you can be there for them. Because if you're on an airplane and the lights come on, you're supposed to put your mask on first so you can be there to put the mask on for the others. See? He pissed me off because I didn't think he was right. I remember, though, I was going to share about it. I went to a convention, one of my first conventions, and I wanted to speak, but I had to get up the courage to speak. So I went to one of the marathon meetings, you know, those late night meetings. And I finally got up the courage to speak. And I said, by the way, this is Narcotics Anonymous. This isn't therapy. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I went to that convention and I said, man, it's so good to be clean. I got some clean time and I'm in love with myself. And I've been going to therapy and they told me to get a bear to love on, but I got a lion because bears are too fucking gay. and I'm loving on this lion and everything. And right after I got through sharing, this guy, his name was Pepe, he came up and he goes, "Oh, I get a kick out of these newcomers who think they love themselves right away. But who the hell do you think you are?" But he was right. I didn't know he was right, but he was right, because I was at that convention and I probably hadn't slept. I've probably smoked 4 packs of cigarettes and been drinking the coffee and the sodas like for a couple of days straight. If I love myself better, maybe I'd treat myself better. But the truth was I was actually loving myself better than I ever had before. I just didn't know what it really meant to really love and to really give. Because get this, if it's conditional, it ain't love. If I place conditions on it, then it ain't real. You know what I mean? So, it's like all these spiritual principles. I'd love to say I sat here and I got these spiritual principles and I live by these spiritual principles, but I have to practice these spiritual principles because it's in my nature to do stupid shit and to not live by the spirit. Like a football player, Tom Brady just doesn't start throwing touchdowns all the time. He has to practice to get better at it. And even after he's been playing for years, he still throws interceptions every now and then. You know what I mean? That's the way the recovery is for me, man. I got to practice at it to get better at it because I make mistakes all the time. I do, man. I factory reset my phone an hour ago. Ken told me that was going to fuck with me during this thing. But you know what I'm saying? I'm me. And I got to rely on the loving God. See, I got to trust in God. And that ain't always easy because my wife has this bumper sticker on her car. It says, "If God is your co-pilot, you better change seats." You follow me on this one? Because I'm like, it's cool, God, I got this. Let's go for the ride. But, I'm not a believer that God doesn't give me anything that I can't handle. I'm not. Because I've been clean for 30 years now, and God's given me all kinds of shit I can't handle. Matter of fact, truth of the matter is sometimes I can't even handle my own self. God doesn't give me anything that he can't handle if I get the fuck out of the way. You know what I mean? Sometimes I got to step aside and say, "Hey, God, you got to get me through this because I can't do this." And then he puts people like you in my lives and we get through it together. Because together we stay clean. And I'll tell you how this whole together thing works too, because you guys love me and you guys take care of me and you guys protect me. Remember when we were all in elementary school? You guys remember this shit. We were in elementary school and we got that one punk who puts that little sign on her back that says, "Kick me." I know, I hear a lot of people speak. We're all the guys that get fucking messed up and picked on in school. A lot of us end up here at Narcotics Anonymous. We got that sign that says, "Kick me." And we're walking around school and people are laughing and pointing. Well, see, other members in Narcotics Anonymous are the guys who come up behind us and say, "Hey, brother, man, you got this sign on your back." And they help me see things that I can't see that's going on inside of me. Or that's going on with me. So you guys save me, man. All the time you save me. All the time you guide me through things. I don't want to just share here and not share on the spiritual principles and the steps. See, because I'm not a big believer in this thing where it says, we work the steps and then we do all this writing and stuff and work the steps. I'm a big believer that it's only in understanding and application that it works. See, my problem is, as an addict, drugs weren't my problem. Jason's my problem. Drugs fixed me. And then the drugs quit working. And so I used other things to fix me. I don't have to tell you guys. You fucking know. You probably got things I haven't even thought of yet. Drugs, sex, money, all that stuff, her, whatever, But I can add to the list a couple other things. One of them is writing, and one of them is service work. Look, if I'm doing service work, now, I don't want you to get, just listen to me for a second. In the very beginning of our book, in the very first part of the basic text, and I'm a big basic text fan, in the very beginning of the basic text, it says that goodwill is best exemplified in proper service, and proper service is doing the right things for the right reasons. Now get this. Doing the right thing for the wrong reasons is way better than doing the wrong thing. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to do the wrong thing, but there's so much better when we do the right thing for the right reasons. If I'm doing service work because it keeps me clean, then I'm still trying to use an outside thing to fix an internal problem. You follow me? I do a lot of service work because I fucking love Narcotics Anonymous. I really do love Narcotics Anonymous. Some of you guys might say, I'm an agent. I like going to the prisons. I like going to the jails. I like going to... My home group is the Free Basic Tech Study in Fresno. I love that meeting. You know why I love that meeting? Not because a lot of old timers go there, because we rent a room in a homeless shelter that's right next to a recovery home. We get a ton of newcomers all the time. And they're talking, they're saying those evil words like sober. That's right, I said it. They're talking about treatment and getting out and going to school and stuff like this. That's what they're, This is treatment for you. This is not Narcotics Anonymous. This is why you need a sponsor. They'll say, you need to go confront your parents about your past. Your sponsor's going to say, you need to go make a fucking amends to your parents for what you've done in the past and stay on your own side of the street. Right? I'm going to say, you got 6 months clean. Why don't you go to City College and study to be a counselor? Sponsor's going to say, you got 6 months clean. Why don't you start picking up those cigarette butts outside? Cleaning the coffee pot. Welcoming the newcomer. See what I mean? They're going to say, therapy. You need to have healthy boundaries. Right? You know what a sponsor tells me? You need to rip down all those damn walls you've been building around yourself all these times. You need to open up to people and let people know who you really are inside. You need to get honest and you need to come clean. Oh, I'll tell you about coming clean. I'll tell you about coming clean by how I was clean and living dirty. Don't act like I'm not the only one here. Give me that look, fuck. I remember, I tried all the things, women, money, all this other stuff, and I knew what the problem was. I had about maybe a year and a half clean. I knew the problem. The problem was I lived in fucking Fresno. If I could just get the hell out of Fresno, everything was going to be okay. So I moved from Fresno to the East Coast to get a job working for my uncle. And my uncle was selling nurses' uniforms because he worked at this nurses' uniforms spot. What I found out is that these nurses' uniforms were hot because he was ripping them off. So I'm driving up and down in this beautiful territory too, the Blue Ridge Mountains over here. I'm driving from South Carolina up into Maryland and Pennsylvania, clean, going to meetings. I was the damn GSR because I was spiritual and shit. I was quoting from the basic text. Selling hot nurses' uniforms. Driving a van. I remember clearly. It was a white van with a dove on the side because he bought it from a church. With a hot check. I did this for a few months. And there was this guy hitchhiking in Virginia. And I picked up this guy who was hitchhiking in Virginia. And I said, hey, man, you want to ride? He goes, yeah, because I remember I hitchhiked all the time. Hitchhiking sucks. So I started to give him a ride, and he pulls out a big fat one, and he goes, hey, you want some? My first thought, got to be honest, nobody's going to know. But you guys fucked that up for me. You're going to know. God's going to know. You can't do this. Next exit, dude's out of the car. I had to quit the job. I did some other stupid shit clean too, but I found myself at another convention. I was at this convention, and I'm thinking, man, I was ripping off this place, I was ripping off this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing it clean. I don't know what's going on. And I didn't want to tell my home group because I really wanted you guys to think I was still cool and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So I went to this late night meeting, this late night marathon meeting, and I waited until nobody was there who knew me. Nobody from my home group. And I got honest and I started sharing about what was really happening. And some woman who had more clean time than me pulled me aside. She goes, Jason, you're not unique. She goes, I ripped off the company I was working for too. You got to put back the stuff you ripped off, not get the people in trouble that you ripped them off with. You got to make your amends that way, and then you got to go back to your home group and get honest with them and tell them what's really going on. Because sometimes if you want to stay clean, you got to get clean. Follow me? So we need to get clean. So if we're ripping shit off, man, you're not alone. You've done it before. Go back to your home group and get honest. If you're sitting in here and you're claiming clean time that you don't have, you need to get honest. You need to get real. I'm telling you, it's much better because we're going to love you anyway, and there's freedom in being honest. That's what this whole thing's about. Freedom. Freedom from the disease of addiction. You know, and there's freedom in being honest. I know. Been there, done that. And it's okay, man. It's going to be okay. Oh, and by the way, if you're new, and if they hadn't told you, alcohol is a drug. The dope that the doctor gives you to get off dope is dope. You follow me? Marijuana is a drug, and the doctor's excuse is a justification bullshit excuse to get loaded. Follow me? I can't afford to cop a buzz no more. It's like a damn switch. I can't afford to cop a buzz no more. So if it's going to cop me a buzz, then I'm going to watch out because it's going to be in trouble. Now, this might be a little bit controversial. If you have to, maybe call your sponsor or talk to somebody. But if you're walking in these, it's just my opinion. I'm not speaking for Narcotics Anonymous. I said that in the beginning. But if you got a case of rock stars under one hand and a case of Red Bulls under the other arm, I'm going to look at that. Follow me? You know, if you haven't slept for like 4 days, there might be an issue going on there. I'm just talking about getting honest and getting real. Because if I'm going to get honest and I'm going to get real and I'm going to do that first step, let's talk about it. It says, these are the principles that made our recovery possible. So that means they're principles. We don't practice unmanageability. Fuck, I knew my life was unmanageable when they turned on electricity. I knew they were powerless when they locked me up. If I'm going to be honest, what it is I need honesty, acceptance, and surrender, because those are principles that I can practice, and that's step one. I got to get real. I got to get really real, like down here real. Like, look, if you're struggling with a higher power, we all come in here with a higher power. I'm going to tell you its name, dope. Dope is a power bigger than me. Dope owns my ass. I do shit that I don't want to do. I know I'm doing wrong and I'll do it anyway. And I fucked over the people that's closest to me. I don't want to do it, but I do it because, I hate to say it this way, but it's true. I've become dope's bitch. It's true. It owns me. I got to be honest and I got to admit it. I got to find a power bigger than dope. When I first come to the rooms, I can get hope. Hope is that, here's hope for you. If a sick fuck who can wear that damn chain around his neck can get clean, anybody can get clean. Follow me? That's not. I was even sicker whenever I was getting loaded. I haven't told you shit about whenever I was getting loaded. Remember I said you can't afford a couple buzz no more? Because that's all I was doing, is just thinking, I'd substitute one drug for another, because that's what addicts do. We substitute drugs. I remember I ended up in the hospital one day. Now, I'm no doctor or I'm no nurse or anything like that, so I don't understand meds, but I know when they left me in that emergency room alone, that I could search through those doors and see if I could find something. Right? I saw this thing, it said, lidocaine. All I saw was cane. Fuck, that might get me high. Let's dip it in a joint and see what it does. Come on. Yeah. Like you all haven't smoked shit off the floor that wasn't really dope. Fuck. Don't be looking at me like that. Come on, man. Drug of choice. I'm sorry, I can have a beer. That's not my drug of choice. I had a sponsor who told me that when he relapsed. Said, sure the fuck was, because that's the one you chose to pick up. See, drug of choice is whatever dope you decide to pick up that day. Because this is the kind of shit that I did whenever I was getting loaded. I thought, man, this dope's causing me too much trouble. I can't do no more of this. Maybe I'll have to try some of this shit instead, so I can get my life together. Right? My head, man, it just messes with me at times. So I got to get there to be there. And then if I can get there, I can go to step 2, which is faith. See, hope is the belief that something might happen, possible. There's a possibility. You know, like the Cincinnati Bengals hope they win a game this year. That's hope. You know, when you buy a lottery ticket, you say, I hope this one gets there for me. That's hope. Faith is when we start believing that it's going to happen. Not yet. Faith is when we start to have that belief. That's 2. Came to believe, you know, we start to believe that, you know, maybe I can get through here. There's a power greater than me. And I don't understand that damn doorknob thing. Maybe I'm not that bright. But I do understand using Narcotics Anonymous as a higher power. Because you guys can keep me clean. You guys are definitely bigger than dope because it's working for you. And I know it can work for me because it's working for you. And a guy gave me this prayer. He said, this is the prayer he gave me for the second step. He goes, I want you to start praying, and actually it's the third step. He said, God, reveal yourself to me as you want me to see you. See what I mean? That was there. He said, forget whatever you've been told and just say that. See, because faith means I got to believe that it's going to, you know, I got to believe that this power is bigger than dope and take care of me. The difference between faith and the difference between 2 or 3 is trust. And the difference between faith and trust is huge. Because this is the way it was explained to me. Some of y'all got kids, right? At least that you know of. So you take the kid, right? And you put him on the top of the fridge. And you say, jump in daddy's arms. Now he may have all the faith in the world that daddy's going to catch him. But trust is when the feet leave the top of the fridge and he's airborne. Trust is when I take God out of the passenger seat and give him the wheel. Follow me? Trust is fucking hard for a guy like me, dude. I've been having people rip me off my whole life. You know, wait outside. They don't want to meet you. I'll be back. I know. Look, I honestly believe you stepped on it because I know I stepped on it. Anyway, so trust is hard for me. I got to practice it and learn how to get better with this stuff. It's not easy to trust. And in order to develop trust, I need to start to build a relationship. Like, let's say that I'm here and I'm doing this thing and like we need like coffee for the meeting. And I say, well, here's $20. Run to the store and grab some coffee. Here's the keys to my car. And am I going to give the key to to the guy I just met and I don't even know who his name? You know, Stinky, the guy with the long back. Or am I going to give the keys to like somebody that I know and that I have a relationship with? You know what I mean? I'm going to give the keys to somebody I know. At least I'm going to know their name. So when I say, God, reveal yourself to me as you really are, then what I do is I'm trying to build a relationship with this God. And I'm using the name God because that's the name that the book gives us. If you have a problem with that, that's the name that's used in the book, period. You know, I'm a big believer of the basic text, man. They knew what they were doing. It's just a name. Right? But I got to build a relationship. Because I'm not talking about my keys and I'm not talking about $20. I'm talking about my will in my life. If I'm going to give him everything, then what's going to be left with me? And get this, here's the other thing. I love how it says a God of our understanding instead of God of my understanding. See, because I do not have an understanding of God. I talked to my sponsor about it, and he said, Jason, if you can fit the ideas of God in that little brain of yours, that must be a pretty small God to fit in that little pea brain. Shit happens all the time that I don't understand. I've watched people in these rooms lose their kids. I've watched people that I knew that were going to stay clean get loaded. And I watched people that I thought for sure were going to get fucking loaded that stay clean. Things happen all the time that I don't understand. I don't even understand how I factory reset my phone an hour ago. Things happen all the time that I don't understand. It's not my job to understand, it's my job to trust in a God that I don't understand. That's not easy for me. Well, if I can trust that it's all going to be okay, and I can trust in a God that I don't understand, I can develop the courage to do 4. See, they're in an order for a reason. When I first got here, I didn't think they were in an order for a reason. I first got here, I read the steps. I remember talking to my sponsor. I said, I think I need to make an amends. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I owe this dealer some money. And it's hard to live with owing him money like this, so I think I need to go over there. You know what happened? Tina will remember this because she was working with me at the time. I got fired from my job and then my car got repoed. Sometimes God does this for us what we can't do for ourselves. But I did him in order. You know. I had to get the courage to do that, and then I had to be open enough to share it with another person. And I'm not just talking. Well, to be honest with you, my first 5th step, I just wanted to get it done before my roommate. I did, man. I did it. Back then, we didn't have, I used a checklist, 4 columns. I went down and took it to the printer and ran off copies and put the name down of the person I represented and started checking off the columns. You know, I just wanted to get it done, man. Because that way I could tell my roommate, you know, I did my 5th step. What about you, dude? I was still trying to be more spiritual. You know, of course, I had to go do the steps again. Then I had, you know, with the other sponsor, because my first sponsor fired me. Yeah, he fired me because, you know, I was going to a lot of meetings, but I got evicted from my apartment and I was sleeping on his floor of his house. So he let me go, and I ended up getting another sponsor. I went through him again, and then I went through another sponsor and went through him again. And here's the thing. I was working the steps in order to try to fix me, but the truth of the matter is I was still trying to fix me with outside sources. See, the steps don't fix me. Because I got to learn what the spiritual principles are inside those steps and try to live by those spiritual principles. Because when I try to live by spiritual principles, I try to fix what's going on for me from the inside out. I need to change who I am. You know, that's how it has to work for me. So now I try to live by these things. Love, patience, courage, open-minded. 6 and 7, man. Fuck. Willingness and humility. Dude, so get this. So I got all kinds of defects. I'm telling you, I do, man. I got 5 minutes. There's no way I'm getting through this shit. We're going to have to do this fast. Let's just put it this way. I got mental defects. I got physical defects. Like half a finger here, scars here from getting loaded. You know, some people could say being short and fat's a defect, but fuck that, man. I'm cool with it today. You know, I got mental defects. I got emotional defects and scars from all the shit that's happened to me. You know, and you know, and I got spiritual defects, and I got character defects. Those things don't all of a sudden get removed. I just got to be willing to give them to this God that I don't understand. My finger ain't going to grow back. You see what I'm saying? No matter how much I give it to God, I don't think it's going to grow back. I mean, maybe it could happen, but I doubt it. It's the difference between 6 and 7 is humility, and humility is accepting ourselves as we are, no more, no less. It says humility is the support and staying clean as bread and water are to staying alive. That's what it says in the book. That means I got to accept myself as being a human being full of flaws. See, I'm not responsible for my disease, but I'm responsible for my recovery. So I'm not responsible for my defect, but I'm responsible for my actions off of that defect. You hear what I'm saying? So get ready for this. So, if you're my sponsee, you know when I say call me before you get loaded, not after you get loaded? I don't want the phone call saying, oh, guess what I just did? Fuck. You're supposed to call before you do the action, not after you do the action. You follow me? We need to share about what we're thinking about doing, not what we're going to do. I'm not responsible for what goes in my head, but I'm responsible for how I act off of what goes in my head. And I'm telling you, I've been clean for a while, but I got some crazy-ass thoughts that go through my head clean. It's okay? I know I'm fucking crazy. You know why I know? At first I just thought there was something really wrong with me. Then I started sharing it with other addicts. Man, I'm in a room full of sick fucks. Square pegs do fit in round holes. You know, if you're here and you think you're, you know, like worse than the rest or crazier than the other, we're all the same, man. We all got these crazy thoughts that go through our heads sometimes. It's okay. I can't control my thinking. I just got to be responsible for my actions. And sometimes I'll make mistakes with my actions, but I learn how to live with them. You know, if I can live with them, I can get to 8 and get to the forgiveness. You know, I got to put myself on the list, and I can get to 8 for the forgiveness, and I can get to 9 for freedom. Because there's freedom in 9. I used to think 9 was forgiveness, but once I become willing, I get to the forgiveness. But when I get to 9, I get to the freedom from the forgiveness. Then I get to 10. I'll share about that in 1 second because I got to get through these real quick. I get to 10, and that's a diligence to do it every day, and live every day, live in the program. It says in step 12 that our words and our literature is meaningless unless we live it. Our thoughts and our action, our lives and our actions give it more meaning than our words and our literature ever could. So I heard someone say we might be the only basic text that someone hears. That's true. It's if we're living it. It's how we're living it. You know, I used to have this bumper sticker, the NA bumper sticker on the back of my car, and they said if you have an NA bumper sticker on the back of the car and you're cutting off people and driving like crazy, then that's the message you're giving about Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah, I don't have an NA bumper sticker on the back of my car no more. I do want to share about the freedom here because, and then I'll say one more thing and I'll shut up. Okay, so the 9-step freedom. This is a small one, I think, maybe not, but when I was 17 years old, actually when I was 16 years old, 16 through 18, I had the best job in the world for a teenage boy. This was back in I'm an old dude. You can't get clean time without being fucking old. This was back in 1978, 79, and 80. I worked at the Baskin Robbins ice cream store at the Fashion Fair Mall. That's right. That's right. If she was good looking, she was getting an extra scoop. If I wanted to get high, I didn't have no money, I may take a buck or two from the register. Not enough to rip them off, but I was ripping them off. Right? Well, I carried this for a while. And once I got clean, it came time to make amends to that place, because it was on my list. See, and for a lot of years, I couldn't go past that Baskin-Robbins. They were really good people. They were really good people, man. But, and they never knew that I was ripping off. They never knew what I did, but I knew what I did. And it was hard for me to walk past that Baskin-Robbins. So, once I made the amends, it was better. And I thought the amends was going to be like, hey, man, here's like $600. Everything's cool. But the way it went down was like, here's $25, so I'll see you next week. But now I got freedom, because if I want to go to Baskin-Robbins, they take the kids to the Baskin-Robbins. I can go to the mall and get the kids ice cream if I want to. That's the freedom that this step gives you. Now I'm going to tell you one more thing. It's stolen, but I wanted to share it with you guys, because I love the story. Some of y'all might have heard it before, but I just love the story. So there's a guy walking down the road, and he falls in this big 10-foot hole. Right? Some of you guys nodded. You've already heard the story. Yeah. Therapist comes by, and the therapist says to the guy, he goes, well, let's talk about it. He spent an hour and a half talking about it with this guy, talking about his childhood and everything. And he left, and the guy was in the hole. Rich businessman walked by, sees the guy in the hole, and he throws him some money. Walks by, and the guy's still stuck in the hole. Next thing, a minister walks by. He says, well, let's pray about it. We'll get you through this. So he sits down, and he starts to pray about it. They pray for a while, leaves the guy. He feels better, but he's still stuck in the hole. An addict walks by, member of Narcotics Anonymous. He jumps in the hole. He goes, what the hell did you jump in the hole for? Now we're both stuck. And the addict says, no, I've been in this hole before, and I know how to get out. Thanks for letting me share.